Welcome to the Collide Kids Podcast, hosted by Christen Clark. This is a show for kids and families. You are going to meet new people and have fun while you listen. Let's do it!
Hey y'all, welcome to the Collide Kids Podcast. I'm your host, Christen Clark. The Collide Kids Podcast is a show for kids and families where we learn together how life and faith collide. I am so glad that you're listening today. Thank you so much for being here and hanging out with me. If this is your first time listening, I just want to say welcome. I'm glad you're here and I hope that you come back for more. Be sure to listen to the end of every episode. That's where we have the kids only segment where kids just like you get to be on the podcast. Well, I have some really exciting news, and I'm so excited to share with you that I am joining the River Radio Podcast Network. Now, that just means that I'm now connected to a few other podcasts in this network, and you might hear a little bit more about those in the coming episodes. But it also means I'm connected to a really great radio station in Columbus, Ohio, called River Radio. It's 104.9, and if you're in the Ohio area, I hope that this is one of your favorite radio stations, and I'm so excited to have the DJs and hosts of the River Radio Morning Show, Josh, Chad, and Hannah. They are three quirky and over-caffeinated friends who have the goal of being your personal hype team in the morning. Whether it's goofy jokes or hope-filled conversations, they aspire to be a place of fun, peace, and encouragement. And the radio station's mission is to introduce as many people as possible to Jesus through music and service. You guys, I am so thrilled to be a part of this network and all the possibilities and fun things that are going to come from that. And I'm also excited to have these new friends at the River Radio Station. And listen, you guys are really going to enjoy. This was a fun episode. I don't think I've ever interviewed three people at the same time before, so that was pretty exciting. This was such a fun conversation, and I'm sure you're going to be really interested to learn more about what it's like to be a radio DJ and work in Christian radio. So here is my conversation with my new friends, Chad, Hannah, and Josh, hosts of the River Radio Morning Show. Welcome to the Collide Kids Podcast. I am so excited to have each of you here. We have Chad and Hannah and I'm sorry, what's the other guy's name?
The other guy's name is Josh.
Josh. I almost said Brandon. I knew that wasn't right. Okay.
It's not.
Close enough.
I mean, you can call me a lot of things. Brandon would be fine, but Josh is the official.
Josh, I'm so sorry. Thank you for being a good sport. Hey, will you guys just introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
We'll start with Brandon.
Yeah. Right.
Josh.
Yeah. My name is Josh. I work in radio, and we all do. And I'm the program director for a radio station called The River in Columbus, Ohio, which means all the stuff you hear, then I'm kind of involved in making sure all that sounds the way it's supposed to. And I'm on a morning show with these two fine people as well. Woo-hoo. So that's the everyday for me.
Yeah. And I'm Hannah. Like you said, I'm part of the morning show here at the River, as well as I'm on the development team, which means this is a nonprofit. So it takes everybody, the community coming together to raise the funds to make the magic happen. So I get to be a part of making that work throughout the year.
Nice.
And I do everything. I am the problem maker. Uh-huh. I am the friction bringer. I get to be a part of the morning show as well. I am part of our podcast team, which helps kind of focus and recruit podcasts for the station and the network. And it's a lot of fun. If people say, find a job that you love so you never have to work a day in your life. And I've figured out how not to work in my life. So this is what I do. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It really fits.
That's amazing. Okay, I love all of these things because I know nothing about it, except I like to listen to the radio. And so I'm really excited to learn the behind the scenes about the radio, as I'm sure my listeners are as well. But before we do that, because this is a podcast for kids, we always like to start out with a joke or something funny. So Chad, do you have something you want to share that's funny or a joke?
So I was going to go more or less in the impersonation or impression.
Wow.
But
okay.
It's big stress. So let me get into character. That's Yoda.
Okay.
That's Grover. That's Miss Piggy.
Wow.
Wow. Man of
That-
many skills.
Yes, we were just transported.
We
by
were.
Yes, that was amazing. What a skill you have. Okay, well, let's talk about being on the radio. So you guys are DJs, right? Like that would
Yep.
be your official title for a morning show. And then you also have these other jobs that have to do with the radio. So I'm interested to hear how you each got started in your job working at the radio station.
Wildly different, I think.
Yeah.
Josh, I'll let you go first.
So I was working in radio after college, and I kept having kids. My wife and I have 4 of them. And so I kind of needed to expand my horizons a bit, work at a bit of a different radio station, a bigger radio station. And so I got hired here at the River 12 years ago, almost 13 years ago, to work on the afternoon show with a gal named Mary. And she and I struck up a real good friendship, and we did a show together for many, many years. And just kind of hit the ground running with that. And I've been doing the same thing really ever since for all those years here at the River. So I knew somebody who said, hey, we've got an opening. Why don't you come down here and give us a shot? So I was appreciative for that phone call.
Very cool.
Yeah, I did not expect to ever be in radio. This was all the work of Jesus and randomness. I graduated college and was looking to work in higher ed, but wanted to move back home, and home was Columbus, and was like, wow, I love the River. And I grew up listening to the River, and there's an opening in their development team. So that fundraising team again. And I was like, yeah, let's see if this takes me anywhere. Maybe it's just a stepping stone. Well, that was 7 years ago. So it did take me places, but within the River itself. So I been a part of the development team for a long time, started picking up different weekend or overnight shifts on the air. It seemed like a fun way to share stories and tell stories. And I love storytelling. And then almost just a little over a year ago today, we started this goober of a morning show. And it's been a grand old time.
It's not the official name of it, but whatever.
Welcome to the Goober Show.
Yeah, it's not the official name, but it is different from what most Christian radio morning shows sound like. And not to say that most sound sad. We have leaned heavily into different and fun.
Yeah.
And it is absolutely a lot of fun, which is also how I got into radio. I didn't want to work hard outside in the sun. And so I was like, what can I do? And a friend of mine suggested, you always have something to say about everything. Have you thought about radio? And he said it as a joke. And I thought, well, how much does it pay? And I got into Christian radio, which is not the one that pays out, but it is wildly, it is wildly worth it. Honestly, just because of the connection that we make with communities and literally watching lives change because of music and who God is and what he's done for us. It is absolutely the most fulfilling thing I've ever done. It does not feel like work. So I do feel like I've won, and also I'm cheating a system somewhere. So I started in radio in Columbus, Ohio, not here, and then bounced all around the country, Tulsa, Kansas City, Michigan, and back here to the River. And just about 2 years I've been here.
That's amazing. I always love listening to the radio when I'm in the car, especially when I'm with my kids. I want them to hear something. And so I love Christian radio. I'm a big advocate for it. And I think it's a great way for people to learn about God and learn about their faith through music. I think music is a great medium. So what is it that you love about sharing that type of Christian music with the world?
Oh, even just this morning, we're talking to a lady who said, I didn't know this kind of music existed, and it's weird for us because we work in it every day, but there's somebody new every day that's finding your local Christian radio station, and they're hearing good quality music with an incredible message, and they didn't know they were looking for it, but now they've found it, and they find hope, and they find Jesus, and they get to learn more about who these singers are and so on. To me, it's that discovery of realizing, hey, there's a place for me here. I belong here. I'm not alone anymore in this day to day. So to me, that's the biggest thing is those moments of, aha, I have a family. I have a community that I belong to. I didn't even know about it.
Well, and the power of music and radio is that it's Jesus at the touch of a button. And you can be in any space in your day, whether you're having a good moment, a bad moment, and you can be right there with Jesus and feel like he's sitting next to you and sitting with you. And that's what the radio provides. And then there's, to go a little more, you have fellowship. You have friends that are on the other side of that radio that are talking with you and talking about real life and being a part of your day. And what I like to say is it's Jesus in the airwaves, and he is so powerful and has such a desire to be with you that he uses something as silly as a radio station to make people smile, to say there's hope, to say I'm with you in the hard moments. And it's a radio, it's a tower just blasting technology through the air, but Jesus is in it. He's in the airwaves, and it's so cool.
Yeah, and it breaks through walls, prison walls, car walls, heart walls, and just again, it's really amazing to have a front row seat to watch those changes and hear those changes when people call in and share those. And so it's, again, it literally for me is the crossroads of all of the things I love. I love music. I love Jesus, and I love to talk. And so I don't know if everybody loves to listen, but that's neither here nor there. But my kids, I have 3 kids, a 9-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 6-year-old, and they love music, and music gets stuck in their heart and in their mind. And hearing them sing songs about who God says they are is the most satisfying thing that I can do. So it's kind of a all-encompassing, life impacting career that it impacts my kids' lives and mine, and those that listen and those that we're in community with. It's just a blast. I can't say enough of how much I love it.
That's so cool. Yeah, I agree with all of that. And so recently I saw a video, I think it was on Instagram, where this young child came to their parents and they said, there's this thing where you turn it on and it plays a video, and then right after it just plays the next video, and you don't have to choose or anything. And the dad finally realized that the kid was talking about TV. You know, kids are so used to like picking out what they want to watch on YouTube or streaming services, and they had just discovered that the TV will choose for them. So kind of like the radio, you guys choose the music like that comes up next. We don't get to, like our streaming services, we get to pick what's next.
Right.
So I'm interested to know, how do you guys choose the music that goes in, and how does that work?
Yeah, it's honestly not as random as you think. There's a lot of intention put behind it. But right now, for the next week at least, our music is already scheduled and it's already planned. We have a music director who kind of does a bunch of research. It's kind of music testing, find out who likes what. And so there's a lot of themes and a lot of styles that we kind of know work in Christian radio. But there's so much math and science that goes into it, how people listen, when they listen, where they listen, why they listen. And it's a lot of art, but also a lot of science. Yeah. And so it's a great combination of, we get to create this thing. But the best part is when you hear people call in and say, thank you for playing that song, I needed that. We're kind of like, we didn't know that you needed it. God knew that you needed it. When somebody hears, or the whole Columbus, Ohio area listens to one song and it speaks to every single person's life situation, it's amazing. Again, it goes back to that, like we're not that smart to plan those things out. We just go thing. Exactly. It's a God thing. So we're just as amazed as the person calling in and letting us know the change that happened because God played a song for them.
Yeah.
And part of that equation is also the music team. Mm-hmm. So actually taking people from the community and asking for their opinions throughout the month. So while we do have the math and science and the art to put it together, the voice of listeners in our community is a huge weight in that as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's interesting. So it's not just random, like it's very thought out, and that's good to know.
Yeah, it's not like that we get in the studio and go, what are we going to play today? The hard work's already done by the time we get there.
Mm-hmm. That's good. And planning ahead, I think, is important.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's so good. So what is your favorite thing about what you get to do in radio?
My favorite thing is it's honestly, it's the crossroad of all of those things. I love listening to music. I love doing my best to find a creative way to talk about whatever it is that we're talking about, to kind of surprise people, because it can be wallpaper. Radio can just be, moms and dads are driving all over the place. They're busy, they're doing stuff. And so it can just be something in the background. So trying to figure out a way to grab attention is something that I genuinely enjoy doing. And if it can be a way where someone goes, what did he just say? And then you explain it and they go, okay, that's not where I thought you were going with it. So I love the creativity of like trying to capture attention. It's becoming harder and harder, but it's becoming more and more fun.
Yeah, I mean, I like the entertainment piece and making people smile and laugh and feel good, but also getting to share Jesus while I do all of those things is the most important piece. And I'm just so grateful that God is willing to use me and any of us who are imperfect people. I make mistakes all the time, and he still, has his arm around me and says, yeah, I want you doing this. And it just blows me away. And so being able to do all of that all at once through the music and everything else that we do is really so fulfilling. And it is what I love. I mean, it's hard to say that the job is what I love about the job, but it really is. Like every piece of it has a purpose and an intention. I don't like doing a lot of random stuff just because. This all is going somewhere and it's leading people to God. So that's why I love it.
That's good. And I think what's so cool is we can make God and Jesus and Christians relatable. I think we can be funny and silly and real and not be these people acting like we have it all together or that we're perfect or that we're not in touch with the world. I have a ton of friends who don't know Jesus and they can listen to The River and still laugh and enjoy the content. And it's not stuff that's a little less than appropriate.
Well, and one thing that's amazing is Christian quality has come a long way as far as media is concerned. 25, 30 years ago, the audio quality wasn't up to snuff. It wasn't tracking with the song quality.
You could tell there was something different about the quality of the song. And
now you listen and it almost catches people off guard because they're like, wow, that sounds so good. It sounds just like anywhere else. And we should, as Christians, put so much pride behind the quality of work that we put into anything that we're doing. And it's finally matching. And it's a great time to be in Christian radio, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, I love when I'm listening to another radio station that's not Christian and some of the artists like For King and Country or Mercy Me who have crossed over. And I'm like, I thought I was listening to a pop station, but I'm hearing people that I hear on the Christian radio. So I think that's really cool that they can cross over like that. Yeah. Okay, so let me ask this question. I don't know if you want to answer or not. What's the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you on radio?
Today or like ever? Because
whatever you want to share that's appropriate for kids.
Can I share the story?
I don't know what story it is, so go right ahead.
So Josh and I, Chad was out of town. We were at this giant Christian concert representing The River, and we had stage time. So we get to go in front of the audience and say hello. Like a lot of the people there listen to the station, listen to The River.
Can I go hide, please?
You can go hide. And Josh and I had planned this funny song riff battle moment to basically talk about the artists that were there that day and to sing some of the River songs. Well,
not the entire song, mind you. It was going to be like a line. That's all we were going to sing.
Gonna sing being the important part there. Literally 4 words into this, the MC walked on stage and
shut it down.
Shut the whole thing down.
He was like, no.
He's like, we're gonna let him sing it, meaning the artist that we
in front of everyone.
In front of a room that fits 20,000 people.
And it was mostly full. So there was a lot of eyeballs there.
I think we played it off. But there's no way to really know.
Wow, you got called out. That's
we did.
It wasn't even our fault. We were trying to do a thing.
Trying to sing about the artist. It's fine.
It's fine. I cry myself to sleep every night.
We just still think about it is the problem.
When I first started in radio, it was a weekly thing that I would get a call from my boss and he would say, your microphone is still on and I can hear you over the song. And I was like, oh, I'll just turn that off real fast.
Oh, no. Yeah, those moments.
So there was years of that. So
that's amazing. That sounds like something that happened to me for sure. So tell me about how your faith in God has changed or what you've learned about God through working in radio. We'll be right back after this. You know, raising kids in the digital age isn't easy, but Bark Technology makes products that help parents keep their kids safe online and in real life. They have an app, a phone, and a home device that lets families set parental controls on their internet-connected devices. I love the app because it helps us manage screen time and blocks websites and apps we want our kids to avoid. It also sends alerts and gives us the ability to monitor texts and social media and even track your child's location. Visit bark.us to learn more about how you can keep your kids safe online. Use the code COLLIDEKIDS to get 15% off your subscription of the Bark app.
I'll take this first. One thing that is easy for me is kind of talking about what we said earlier about watching from a front row, watching God work through the randomness of radio, the randomness of song selection, people calling in and saying, I can't believe you said that just now because God used that to change my life. Mm-hmm. I was asking him for something and you were the one that, pulled it all together. And it's just kind of like, how am I involved in that? How could God possibly use me and what we do? It's fun what we do, but hearing and being reminded of, it's not random. God's got a way to weave it all together. It's impacted my faith because I've seen the proof of what God is doing in my job, not through me, it's through him. But I just get a great seat to watch it. And I think it has imprinted on my mind that anytime I have a doubt, I can look back at the facts of the things that have actually happened that I've seen with my eyes and heard with my ears. I know they've happened. It's all because of God. And mm-hmm. So it's kind of like looking back at the history scoreboard. What's happened? God has shown up.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I think it really is. For me, it's hearing each of the listeners who call in every day and hearing where God has met them mm-hmm. and exactly what Chad had been talking about, how it's the right song at the right time and it's speaking to the masses, but also speaking to an individual situation. Radio and being in Christian radio just gives you the opportunity to see God work on a grand scale, but to individual stories. And that he can be everywhere all at once and still so personal with you and each person that he's touching. And so it's just that reminder, but also just that visual, just truth that he is all huge and big and knowing and everywhere, but yet so relentlessly pursuing you and mm-hmm. your story at the same time. And I think radio, you get the chance to sit back and see that. And it's such an honor and a blessing to do that.
Yeah, and I think for me, I honestly would combine there too. I mean, because radio is so big and we play a very small part of it. However, and we're very imperfect. And so we're not worthy. We're not, the honored, distinguished guests or anything, but show up and God does the work. Mm-hmm. You simply say yes to what he puts in front of you every day to grow and expand his kingdom and to share his goodness, and he will do it. I don't have the words. I don't have the skills. I don't have the brain power, but God is better at this job than I am. So I'll just show up and I will let him do his thing. And I pray this often, and these guys have heard it. Get us out of the way.
Yeah.
We're here to do a job, but it's because God put us here. So we don't want to get in the way. It's not about us. It's about him, and knowing that he is faithful to do everything that they said and still include us because we're his kids, and he wants his kids doing his work. He wants us involved. So he lets us do this in spite of ourselves, and he's just so good and faithful to finish the job. So I'm grateful to even be able to be a part of it.
That's amazing. I love that. Well, this has been so interesting, you guys, and I've loved getting to meet you and talk with you today. So thank you so much for sharing your stories. How can our listeners, maybe they're not in the Columbus, Ohio area, can they listen to your radio show in another way?
Oh, there's plenty of ways. There's plenty of,
so much fun.
I'll list them. Okay. So first, everybody's got a phone. If mom and dad have a phone, or if you have a phone, you can ask them about downloading the River mobile app. It's free. You just search for 1049 The River in your app store, and you can get it that way. You can also listen to our website, It's riverradio.com, and there's a little listen button, and you can click that right at the top of the page. Or if you have any of those Google Home or Alexa devices or anything in your home, or if mom and dad have them in your office, you can say, Alexa, play 104.9 The River, and it'll get you right to us. So there's plenty of ways, if you're outside the area, to be able to listen to The River.
And there's one more that's just fun for the kiddos, because we know kiddos are very visual. YouTube is just so big. Yep. My nieces and nephews are obsessed with it. You can also subscribe. It's called River Now on YouTube.
Also free.
You can see some fun podcasts. You can see some crazy videos, even some artists electrocuting themselves. Like, it's
literally.
Just, yes.
It's shocking.
It's a wild time. So River Now on YouTube is also a place you can
Also,
go.
fun fact, never give radio people an opportunity to plug themselves, because we will talk for
We
hours.
keep going.
Social media.
Oh, I love that. And I love that you guys are on YouTube. I know a lot of kids will be excited to listen to that and to watch. So, well, thank you guys. Hey, before I let you go, I always like to ask my guests to share a memory from when they were a kid. So what do you guys want to share with us today?
Yeah, we just got done, as of this recording, we just got done with Christmas not too long ago. And I forever will remember, I don't know why my parents let me do this. They got me a bike for Christmas.
That's a great gift.
No, that's fine. I was still in my jammies, barefoot, and people were coming over to the house. They let me ride my bike in the house to the door to meet my family members when they arrived, because I was so excited to ride my bike. It's a tiny little thing. I was like 5, but still, they let me ride the bike in the house.
That's wild.
My parents are the best.
Wow.
Pretty wild.
Yeah.
Speaking of crazy, wild things, when I was a youngin', me and my 2 siblings and my parents, we went to Yellowstone National Park. And so you get to see a bunch of moose and bears and just all these wild animals. And my mom had just got done telling us that she would jump in front of a bear for us.
Protective mama.
We were going up a mountain, and she was like, don't worry, if there's ever a bear, I'll jump in front of it for you. We didn't see a bear, but when we got back down to the bottom of the mountain, we were charged by a moose. And we did learn that she would jump in front of a bear, but not a moose. Everyone was fine, but there's a line for mama there.
They're big.
They're huge.
I've never been good at keeping secrets. I have 4 brothers and 4 sisters. And when I was little, my 2 older brothers and I were playing in a mud pit. It was basically like somebody had dug a basement for a new construction house. It had rained a bunch, and it turned just this giant mud puddle. And so we played in it, but we realized that we were going to get in trouble. So we came up with this plan to tell mom and dad that our neighbor Kenny pushed us in.
All of you.
All of us.
Poor
Kenny was the neighborhood bully.
Oh, no.
So one by one, we came home. My oldest brother first and said, Mom, Kenny pushed us in the mud. So mad. And she said, well, go upstairs and clean off. And my second brother went through. Kenny pushed us in the mud. So mad. All right, go upstairs and clean off. And then I came in, and my mom was wise to what was going on. And she said, hey, your brother said you're down there playing in the mud puddle. You guys have fun? And I said, oh, yeah, it was such a blast. We were jumping in. And she goes, go upstairs. And so after that, my brothers have never told me another thing ever. So,
well, moral of the story, kids, always tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
Always tell the
absolutely.
truth.
And don't blame Kenny.
Yeah.
Poor Kenny.
It's not his fault.
A lot of things were his fault, but not that.
Not that. Oh, well, that's great. Well, Chad, Hannah, Josh, Brandon, Josh.
Yeah.
Josh. Thank you guys so much for being on the Collide Kids podcast today. This was so much fun, and I hope our listeners will definitely check out your show and start listening to Christian radio if they don't right now.
Thank you. This was so much fun.
Blessings.
Such a blessing.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
That was awesome. You know, I always think when I'm listening to Christian radio, wow, they played that song just for me. But it really is God that does that. He's the one that puts all of that together and puts the song on your heart. And he can take the music or the encouraging conversations between the DJs and use it to impact people's lives. I love what Hannah said. It's like Jesus at the touch of a button. I think all 3 of them really do love being silly and making jokes and having great conversations. But their favorite part about their job is sharing Jesus and helping listeners connect to God. I love what Josh said. He said, God is willing to use imperfect people even though we make mistakes, and God still has his arm around us. And you know what? He can use us to do whatever he wants. If you'd like to learn more about the River Radio station, you can go to their website, riverradio.com. You can also check out their YouTube page, River Now, and check out their app so you can listen to the River Radio anytime you want. And if you're in the Columbus, Ohio area, I hope that you enjoy listening to 104.9 The River. And if you're not in Columbus, then just tell Alexa or Google Home to play it for you. There you go. Well, now it's time for the kids only segment. This is the part of the show where you get to be on the podcast. So here is my friend Eli.
Hi, my name is Eli. The verse I'm saying this week is Joshua 1:9. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and of good courage. Do not be afraid, nor be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go.
Thank you, Eli. I love Joshua 1:9. Thank you so much for sharing that verse. Well, hey, if you would like to be like Eli and share your favorite Bible verse or a joke or an encouraging quote or a song that you love, you just have to head over to my website, collidekidspodcast.com, to learn more about that. Or you can find information about how to send it to me through my social media. I'm on Facebook at the Collide Kids Podcast or on Instagram at Collide Kids Pod. If you'd like to support the podcast, there's lots of ways you can do that, including sharing this podcast with friends and family, subscribing, following, and also leaving a rating and review. When you do that, it really does help other people find out about the show. Or you can head over to my website and click the link at the top that says Buy Me a Coffee. It doesn't really buy me a coffee, but it's a great way for you to give just a little financial support, and it helps the show keep going. And anytime you think about it, I always appreciate your prayer support as well. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed today's episode. I hope that you have a great week, and go check out some great music on one of those Christian radio stations, especially if you have access to 104.9 The River in Columbus, Ohio. There you go. Well, in case no one has told you today, I would love to be the first to remind you that God loves you so much. Thanks for listening.
You don't have to go very far looking for bad news because somehow it just finds you. So finding peace in the chaos can be really difficult, but it doesn't have to be because the River mobile app exists. The River is a Christian music radio station dedicated to playing music to help you get through life's toughest moments or life's happiest moments and everywhere in between. And all from artists who love Jesus and are real people just like you. Listening is easy. You can download it wherever you get apps from. Just search 1049 The River or listen online at riverradio.com. And know that The River is proud to partner with the Collide Kids podcast.